Mr. Wolf, and I appreciate your deep knowledge on all of these things. And interestingly enough, my predecessor was the ambassador to the Netherlands at the time of 2019. I worked for him for 6 years as his district director. I'm the former chair of the Friends of the Netherlands Caucus, Dutch Caucus, and was quite aware of what was happening there with the discussions of Huawei and the inroads that Huawei had made and the demands that Huawei was making. My predecessor, Mr. Hoekstra, is now the ambassador to Canada, where he's dealing with a few other issues. I'm going to get to my questioning here. One issue that we have is that our allies have much weaker export controls than we do. As I think all of you have pointed out, the result is that when American companies are restricted from selling to China, sometimes those Dutch or Japanese companies backfill that lost sale. And to address that, I recently introduced H.R. 6058, the STRIDE Act, to improve export control coordination among allies and to stop those free passes. Mr. Ball, how important are chip-making tools? I mean, you touched on it. I want to just give you another crack at this. But how important are those chip-making tools to the U.S.-China AI competition?
I think those tools are foundational. It is the very clear objective of the Chinese government to not just catch up, but surpass the West in terms of advanced node semiconductor manufacturing. And in addition to that, I would also highlight the legacy node issue as well as being of critical importance. The reason for this is, in fact, really one of the key impetus for the CHIPS Act was the imposition, was the supply chain crunch that we had during COVID. Automobiles, consumer appliances, industrial equipment, things like this, shortages of semiconductors. Those were shortages of legacy node semiconductors. These are critical inputs to any advanced economy, and you can shut down any advanced economy if you control those inputs. They're low margin goods. The economics become very similar in some ways to rare earths and critical minerals. And so you could see that choke point being a critical leverage point. So I'd say both legacy and advanced semiconductor manufacturing is essential.
All right, I've got a couple of areas I need to move quickly through, but Mr. McGuire, in what ways are allied countries backfilling for these U.S. companies? And does legislation like STRIVE or others help to address that?
I would note 4 things. Number 1, at advanced Chinese fabs, they can still export non-advanced tools, which allow them to build out their capacity. Number 2, allied companies can still service tools at advanced Chinese fabs and can also service advanced tools anywhere in China, which allow them to maintain the tools. Number 3, the allies can exempt components to Chinese tool makers. And then number 4, there are certain advanced allied tools, the DUV machines in particular, that can still be exported to China. We urgently need to close these gaps, and I think legislation would be very helpful.
Okay. Some argue that because Beijing controls the supply of rare earth magnets, something that's big in Michigan with our automotive industry, the United States cannot protect its technology from Chinese exploitation. However, I believe that we are stronger than we think, but I worry that backing down teaches China to abuse any perceived leverage that they may have, whether it's from tariffs, fentanyl, to Taiwan. There's an old Leninist adage, you probe with bayonets. If you find mush, you push. If you find steel, you withdraw. And it seems that the CCP follows that quite closely. Mr. McGuire, what should the U.S. do to deter Beijing from weaponizing its rare earth supply so that we can make sovereign policy decisions without retaliation?
Absolutely.
And is it possible to even do that?
Absolutely. That's a great question. I think it's important to note how much more expansive the Chinese rare earth controls were than anything that the U.S. has on the books. I think that's something that the U.S. could do if the Chinese go back to the well of rare earths and start to deny licenses, is basically to impose an equivalent regime on semiconductors. So what that would mean would say if you require a Chinese license to make any advanced chip, then it's only logical to have any export of any advanced chip to China, meaning any 14 nanometer or more advanced chip, require a U.S. export license. We're not saying we're necessarily going to deny all those licenses, but if the Chinese are going to require a license, then we have to require a license too. That would put extremely onerous restrictions on China and effectively make their entire technology industry go through the bottleneck that is BIS. I think it would be very painful for them, and it could cause them to pull back on their controls.
And it seems to me that that's why it's critically important, some of these agreements that we've had, newer agreements on rare earths with some other countries recently. So, all right, I mean, I've only got 30 seconds here, but while U.S. allies do have controls on some chip-making equipment, exports to China, the export of essential subcomponents make chip-making equipment like electrostatic chucks and advanced optics is largely unrestricted. Mr. Ball, if the U.S. and allies have enacted export controls to restrict China's excess for producing chips, does it make sense that China continue to be allowed unrestricted sales of subcomponents into China? And Mr. Wolf, some PRC chip-making equipment companies have already been added to the commerce blacklist known as the entity list. Do other currently unlisted PRC chip-making equipment companies also conduct the same activities as those already blacklisted by commerce? If so, which ones? My time has expired. I may need to hold that, and certainly I would like to get that in writing, and possibly if we have a second round, I'd like to revisit that. So with that, I will